On Authentic Ag, we talk with Sherman County farmer Brian Linin. He's on the board of U.S. Wheat Associates. We'll hear about the continuing good story of the quality of Kansas and all of U.S. wheat. We'll also have features from Kansas corn, Kansas wheat, our updates from the Kansas Livestock Association, and Paragon Ag Advisors. Stay with us. You're watching Authentic Ag. Brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress powered by Kansas farmers, Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, KFB.org, and the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
In agricultural news from agview.net, the Environmental Protection Agency must reconsider its small refiner exemptions following a recent court decision. A document dated January 24th from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit says the EPA overstepped its authority to grant 3 specific waivers in question. That decision expected to broadly impact the EPA approach to granting waivers. That, according to the Renewable Fuels Association, they claim the waivers are unlawful. The court ruling stems from a May 28 challenge brought against EPA by the Renewable Fuels Association, the National Corn Growers, the American Coalition for Ethanol, and the National Farmers Union. Well, NFU President Roger Johnson said that they believe the ruling will help restore the ability of the RFS to drive demand. Among other findings, the court says EPA cannot extend exemptions to any small refiners whose earlier temporary exemptions had lapsed. The court also found EPA abused its discretion in failing to explain how the agency could conclude that a small refiner might suffer a disproportionate economic hardship. Well, pork and red meat production hit a monthly record in December. USDA says pork production totaled 2.44 billion pounds. That's a 9% jump over December of the previous year. Slaughter also higher, up 9% to 11.4 million head. The average live weight gaining was up to 288 pounds, and beef production totaled 4.72 billion pounds, a jump of 8% over 2018. Slaughter increased up to 2.75 million head. That's 7% higher than December of 2018. Now the 5-pound gain for the average live weight, 1,373 pounds. December red meat production totaled 4.72 billion pounds, 8% higher than the previous year. Unofficially, red meat production for 2019, 54.5 billion pounds. That's 3% higher than 2018. USDA's official red meat production number for 2019 will come out in April. Now, December's dairy cow slaughter, 265,400 head. That's a jump of 9.3 million head from November and 4.2 million more than the previous December. The unofficial total for 2019, 3.22 million head, 71,000 head increase above 2018. And Britain's effort to leave the European Union has now taken place. Today, Brexit, the long and contentious battle, is over. European Union leaders formally ratified it. And the UK now expected to begin trade negotiations with the EU as well as the United States very soon. Brexit could be very good news for American farmers. That's only if the UK doesn't keep those restrictive EU-based ag policies in place that limits trade. Greg Dowd, the chief trade negotiator for the Office of U.S. Trade Representative, says a new trade pact with Britain is one of the utmost important to him. He said in his mind it's a legitimate top 10 market for U.S. agriculture. Now on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross sounded optimistic that a deal would get done. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming up.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me. Let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare Supplement insurance plans. With Medicare Supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare Supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Joining us now is Brian Linin, who is a farmer from Goodland, and he is not only on the Kansas Wheat Commission but also a member of U.S. Wheat Associates. And so, Brian, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure.
All right, let's talk about the big news that we're still learning more about, and that is Brazil. And so kind of give us what you know and what the possibilities are of that market coming back.
Yeah, so Brazil, for a number of years now, has not met their WTO commitment. When they entered the WTO back in 1994, they had a commitment to have a duty-free tariff rate quota of 750,000 metric tons of wheat from the U.S., among other things. They've never actually taken that, only a couple of years when Argentina was short on supply. And so just this morning, actually, they announced that the Brazil's recommitted to taking 750,000 metric tons of U.S. wheat duty-free, and that's big news for the Kansas wheat farmers and all wheat farmers in the U.S.
Of course, 6 classes of wheat, but really a lot of this directly has an impact for hard red, correct?
That's right. Most of that wheat would be hard red winter wheat that's produced in the mid-plains states, Kansas being, of course, one of the top producers of hard red winter wheat.
All right, so we have this again. It's not a huge amount, but again, it's kind of those building blocks with everything else we have going on. A market like Brazil coming back, it has to make you feel good.
Oh, very good. I mean, that's another 750,000 metric tons a year that we weren't moving. We haven't moved for years, 20 years. And, just like you say, those building blocks, I mean, if you consider China and the trade issues there, up until 2 years ago, we were consistently exporting 1.6 million metric tons to China. The last year and a half, we've done about 160,000, which is almost nothing. And so it's important to get those markets back. And if you start adding those up, that becomes enough wheat to pull our supply down and kind of cure the supply and demand issue with wheat that we have today.
Other issues, Australia and others having some weather concerns that some of us in Kansas are starting to experience those as well.
Well, seems like we always have weather issues in Kansas. But Australia, they're having a tough time with their crop, and that could open up some markets for us this year. They're a big competitor for us in the world.
Yep.
They're one of the largest producers of hard white wheat in the world. And we've tried to get hard white wheat going in Kansas, but hard red winter and hard white in the world, compete pretty closely together. That one can replace the other, and so if Australia is looking at a shorter wheat crop, that gives us an in. So
Sure. We're talking with Brian Linin, who is a farmer from Goodland and is a member of the U.S. Wheat Associates. Let's take a quick break. Back with more in just a moment.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
And joining us is Brian Linin, who is a farmer from Goodland and also a member of the U.S. Wheat Associates. Brian, let's just get down to the brass tacks of wheat, especially in Kansas. We're known as the wheat state, but some would argue we've become the corn state. But there is still money to be made in wheat.
Well, I think so. I think, in the current market conditions, it's a little tough because prices are low. But, with any commodity, there are always pricing opportunities. And on our farm, we really like wheat. It's a good lead into corn. It provides a good seed bed, the stubble does. And, there's always pricing opportunities on wheat. It's a lower input cost crop, and it does well in Kansas.
The numbers came in. Of course, wheat numbers were down this year. Wheat numbers possibly, when we get the final say of where exactly we are. Where are you at in your farm?
Actually, our wheat acres are up a little bit this year. We took on a little additional ground, and we're trying to get into our rotation. And like I said, we really like wheat as a cash crop for our area, and it works in nice into our rotation. And so we're actually planting more wheat this year. But I do understand that across the state, wheat acres are down.
All right, so let's talk a little about you. We haven't really talked much about U.S. Wheat Associates. U.S. Wheat, you're really kind of all over the world.
U.S. Wheat is all over the world. U.S. Wheat's kind of funded off the checkoff, and then they match those dollars with FMD and MAP funds from the federal government. And so we leverage that money and we promote wheat in the world. We try to attract millers, buyers, and bakers all over the world. U.S. Wheat operates 13 international offices around the world, and the mission is that U.S. Wheat is the best quality wheat in the world, and we're the most reliable supplier. And so we go to our customers and try to show them how U.S. Wheat can fit into their milling and baking operations.
All right, so what else is on the horizon as a farmer leader with U.S. Wheat?
Well, that's a good question. I think the possibilities are endless. I'm actually going to run for the chairs this year, so I'm running against a fellow from Oklahoma, and we'll see how that turns out.
Well, that'll be good. Well, again, Brian, thanks for your service for the agriculture industry. Thanks for the update, and let's continue to talk positive about something you and I know at least a little bit about is that good old hard red blooded wheat. So thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
Brian Linin, farmer from Goodland and a member of the U.S. Wheat Associates, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Darrell was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Greg Christick, CEO at Kansas Corn. Today I'd like to share an update about what is a current need of ours for agriculture and for grain producers to help us represent you with EPA related to another action on the triazines or on atrazine. Recently, EPA released what's called a PID, or Preliminary Informal Decision, about atrazine and the ecological risk assessment associated with it. A lot of big words, so let me explain what we really want and need you to do. Through the years, EPA goes through a re-registration process for all the triazines, including atrazine. Our estimates are today that without atrazine, a farmer would incur up to $30 more an acre in costs without that crop protection product available to you. For over 20 years, Kansas Corn and other entities have coordinated the triazine network of producers, of ag producers, to keep and maintain this product available. So before March 2nd, we would ask you to come to Kansas Corn website, kscorn.com, and look for the comment to the EPA to keep atrazine. It's very important that you tell your story on why it's important to you to have this crop protection tool. So before March 2nd, please go to Kansas Corn's website and comment on the atrazine ecological risk assessment.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
The Women Managing the Farm Conference is set for February 13th and 14th in Manhattan. Registration is available at womenmanagingthefarm.com. The 2020 conference will open Thursday morning with a dramatic presentation on farmland transition, performed by Lindsay Bauer and created by Mary Swander. Other general session presenters will include Dr. Chad Hart, Iowa State University Associate Professor of Economics, who will discuss trade's impact on U.S. agriculture, and Lance Woodbury, a family business advisor who will lead a panel of experts discussing challenges in health and well-being. The two-day conference will wrap up with Vance Crowe, a communications consultant and story architect, who will share how women in agriculture can use stories that deeply connect with listeners. Breakout sessions have been added to the website at womenmanagingthefarm.com. Attendees can choose 6 of 30 breakout sessions on topics ranging from livestock management, financial options, farm succession planning, coping with stress, farm policy, crop marketing, and many others. Attendees also choose networking sessions tailored to the different roles women hold, such as agricultural partners and helpers, independent producers, absentee landowners, ag industry career women, and business managers. An optional pre-conference workshop is still available on Wednesday, February 12th. More information can be found at womenmanagingthefarm.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
The 2020 KLA Young Stockman's Academy class marks the 15th year for the program. As in the past, the group will be made up of 20 young producers from across the state. Merck Animal Health is the exclusive sponsor. Each year, the program consists of 4 seminars that expose YSA members to the importance of KLA's voice in the legislative process, producers' responsibility as agricultural advocates, the need for progressive livestock operations, and how other industry segments, including animal health suppliers and agribusinesses, fit into the food chain. The class also will participate in KLA's policymaking process. Members of this year's YSA class are Brooke Bulware of Scott City, Katie Campbell from Leota, Brian Carlton of Larned, Clara Cross of Minneapolis, Caden Daly from Great Bend, Matthew Harrison of White City, Trevor Hahn from Fall River, Julie Heasterman of Palmer, Joshua Johnson of St. Francis, Trent Johnson of Fort Scott, Clayton Kirshner of Rush Center, Colton Lowry from Almena, Chris Mushrush of Strong City, Derek Neal of Wamego, Austin Pacey from Salina, Darcy Reeve from Garden City, Matthew Rezak of Onega, Audrey Schultz of Andover, Justin Shields from Colby, and Brant Skinner of Leonardville.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Good morning. I'm Jacob Herzog of Paragon Ag. The beginning of this year is shaping up to have a lot of really exciting headlines, with a lot of factors to talk about. Last week's Phase 1 signing of the U.S.-China trade deal left many wondering, what does this actually mean for the markets? Our domestic news wires seem to be mostly positive about the news, whilst I kind of get the feeling the Chinese news is somewhat more guarded. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, we still do not have any numbers, and the trade's patience for, or lack thereof, could be the determining factor in the short term. To a degree, this leaves us the trade, beating the same drum that we had after the January USDA report, hoping that the next big talking point is going to be the one to drive some excitement into the futures. Now, we can talk all day about potential market direction and our hopes for this report or that deal, but this should not be the primary determinant in our marketing. There are opportunities out there, such as in basis. Let's also bear in mind that the more we click down the calendar, the less time frame for opportunity we have for old crop as well. When it comes down to marketing physical grain, let's take advantage of what we see now and not be forced to pin our fallback plans on hopes of future speculation. There are ways to remain long the market and take advantage of opportunities that we see in between the big potential headlines throughout the year. Curious? Give us a call here at Paragon Ag Advisors, 888-452-8751. I'm Jacob Herzog. Be safe and have a great week.
Well, thank you for joining us for Authentic Ag. If you have questions or comments, email me, kenrogers@gmail.com. We look forward to being with you next time on Authentic Ag.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.